our return to
yes, Logan.
Sunday afternoon live streaming.
Yes, Logan. Hello, Logan.
Now,
yes, Logan.
Now, as often as not, we've had either your mother or your husband watch, sort of babysit the dogs.
Yes.
While we're doing this, so we don't have that kind of interruption.
Yes.
But your husband is otherwise occupied right now.
He's feeding a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my. So I'm just making sure that we're up and running. Yes, Logan. We hear you, Logan. Yes.
You are heard.
You are heard, Logan.
You are being recognized.
That's Logan. Oh, Logan. Right, let's see.
I'm waiting till everybody gets kind of fired up here.
Yes, and I'm just.
We do an official hello.
Yes.
It has been some weeks since we have been here, but we haven't been idle.
No, we haven't been idle. Some of us haven't slept. If you were wondering, is that the dog or the baby? A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. That one's the dog.
That one's the dog.
How's maternity treating you? Look at me, Victoria. How do you think? I mean, if you're wondering what my natural hair color is, it's this. My rainbows are fading and I need to retouch them. I'm not wearing makeup because I was just really excited to get some sleep. So, things are good. It's definitely, I have to say that I could not physically love this child any more than I do. And you have to, because otherwise you will lose your mind because you're not sleeping and you're tired and all the rest of it. I'm lucky in that my husband is absolutely my partner. And so we take turns being exhausted. And he's feeding her right now.
He's been Johnny on the spot.
He has. Oh, I have to tell you, there's this new phrase, paternity privilege, father privilege. And it's about how people are so shocked when men do things for their children that they give them more credit than they even deserve, which is really funny. But I guess there's this whole thing on TikTok about how people, when they see a father doing a really good job, they're like, "Oh, he's amazing! Oh my God, look at what he's doing!"
And then paternal privilege.
Yeah, and they're saying with women, it's just how it goes.
Yeah,
but
even in the hospital.
Yes.
The nurses there were somewhat amazed.
Oh, he was Mr. Important. They all kept saying to me, most dads don't do anything. And mine was, yes. My husband gets about 1 million extra points for being wonderful. Don't you, dear? He's sort of nodding. He's tired too. I want you to know that in the last 3 days, I've been projectile vomited on every night. And again, I say, this is why they have to be cute, because you love them even when they're projectile vomiting on you. That is how that works. So hello, everyone. As I say, I'm making sure that everything is working, and it looks like it is, which is always exciting for us. We like when things work. How are you?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Alice and I have been enjoying the benefits.
Yes.
Of having her full name is Daisy B. B-E-A. Daisy B. Maltin Hadfield.
Yes.
No hyphens. Just
My married name is Hadfield, and thusly that is my daughter's name. So.
And Daisy, as we call her, is
because it is her name.
Simply the most adorable thing that I've ever seen.
Yes.
And I have a new hobby. I was teasing last night. I have a new hobby.
And it's staring at her.
Holding her and staring at her.
Yes.
I'm mesmerized, absolutely mesmerized by her facial gestures, by her body language.
Yes.
And it's just the best. As everyone said it ahead of time.
Yes.
Everyone says grandparenthood is the best. Well, it is. I'm here to tell you it is.
It is. And Yeah, it's one of as I say, it's one of those things like you've never been so tired in your life, but you're also just really, really happy. Yes, Daisy Hatfield, I think so. So just it's Hatfield with a D. We're not the Hatfield and McCoys. We are Hadfield, Had.
Hmm.
And I just think that considering that she's my little British baby, I felt Daisy Hatfield was a very British baby name.
It's a perfect
And
British baby.
so yeah. The other bit of happiness for us is that since they've lifted the ban, my mother-in-law is coming to visit from England in December. So Daisy will have her first. Tonight will be her first night of Hanukkah ever.
Yep.
And
She had her first Thanksgiving.
She had her first Thanksgiving and ate like a pig too. Really embarrassing. And then she will have her first Christmas. And she will have both Nana and Grandma in the house. Where do you answer the live chat? Right here, Amber. You ask us a question and we will answer. One sec. Speaking of which,
we're here to serve.
Yes. Yeah, we are still with you. Very happy. Hi from Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. Hello. My husband has toured all over Canada, and I'm very jealous because it's an absolutely beautiful place. Yeah, you can still. Yeah, no, there is still some color in my hair. It's not gone. It's just in dire need of redoing. Because what I learned is that I don't really care about my hair if I can sleep. I just got my signed copy of Leonard's new book. Quick question for you. What is the difference between your book's selected short subjects and great movie shorts? Are they the same book or should I be looking for them both?
They're essentially the same book. It was originally published in hardcover as the Great Movie Shorts. And when some years after it went out of print, I reacquired the rights, I went to Da Capo Press and pitched it to them. And I made very few changes. And it came out as selected short subjects. Then I made a deal with, what are those people called? Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon, them.
Yeah. To do a new digital and print-on-demand edition, which is also called Selected Short Subjects, and which I made a number of expanded cast lists.
Yeah.
And so, if you're a very particular kind of bibliophile, that's a slightly different version.
If you're a very particular kind of bibliophile, he says.
Well, a friend of mine just revised a book of his.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And I said,
do you need both?
Yeah. and he told me, I don't think so.
Yeah. For those of us that are thorough sometimes, I would love to know if Leonard will ever update or come out with a new Our Gang book. I've owned his others for decades, and I love them. Well, I'm so glad you love them. And he spent, how long did you and Dick work on that?
7
years you guys worked on that? As my mom always says, Dick Ban, Richard Ban, who you wrote the book with, lived on your couch for 7 years. No, many, many, many years finishing that book. So I don't know that you do another.
I don't think so.
Though you two do love talking. Maybe that is a podcast we need to do.
Yes.
Maybe we need to get Dick and you guys can talk at length about your love of Our Gang. My favorite thing about Our Gang,
especially since they're being reissued now in beautiful new restored Blu-ray copies, so that they're available again.
And the simplest thing that everybody always asks about, which I get, is why is it called Our Gang and Little Rascals? I also found this confusing. What is our podcast is called Maltin on Movies, and it exists all the places podcasts exist. And if you're on Twitter, which if you look onto our Twitter, you'll see it's there, Maltin on Movies, and we've been doing it for 6 years.
Something like that.
And we've interviewed all kinds
and all of
people.
Our backlog is available.
Yeah, everything's free. It's there.
Yep.
You would love an Our Gang podcast. We can make that happen for you.
Well, that's a good idea.
Can you get your Our Gang book signed? You know what? If you send me a message here, send me a direct message on Instagram, and we can figure out how we can work that out. I'm happy to do that. And someone else got their signed copy of Starstruck, which is so cool.
Great. Those copies were obviously purchased from Larry Edmond's bookshop.
Yes.
The oldest store of its kind, I think, in
Yes.
the world, here in Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard. And they've been just great to us. And they've sort of smoothed the path
Yes.
to make it possible for me to sign books, personally inscribed books.
Yeah.
For
And it also means that you're supporting a real bookstore.
Yeah.
And that was a huge part of it for us in figuring things out. It's really, really exciting to get to support Larry Edmonds. And, you know, the folks that run that place care so deeply. Hi, Logan. They care so deeply. If you're new, by the way, to us doing this, we have 2 dogs, now 1 baby, and all kinds of noise in our house. Sorry, is your husband British? Yes, that's cool. So I'm from Manchester. All right, that's my husband is from Manchester. My husband's from Crumpsall. What accent do you think your daughter will have? Well, look, in my dreams, my daughter will sound proper Northern. The reality is she's going to be living in this house, which means she'll probably sound American. Yes, Logan. Maybe she'll sound like the dogs. Maybe she'll bark.
Maybe she'll pick up a little of her grandma's New York.
Oh man, I say in my dreams, you know, I married a British person so that I could have a British baby, and the fact that she, can I see her? Pretty please, pretty please.
If I had a drum roll, I would cue the drum roll.
Pretty please, thank.
But I don't. But here, making her
this is my squishy
debut,
this is
her
my
on-camera
squishy.
debut at the exact age of 1 month.
Yeah. Covered in milk. Covered in milk. Oh yes, I'm gonna let her go because she did just eat and needs to go downstairs. Oh, she looks a little. This is a grouchy face. This is a grouchy face right here. Hey, you. Did you just eat?
She also has a near
Eat,
smile.
darling. Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, she's a
Logan.
month old. Logan, you are out of control. Yes.
those behavior lessons are really coming along.
I know, right? Oh God. My
Oh,
husband
poor
husband is trying to deal with the dogs,
People
handle
still listening.
everything. Oh my love. So this is Miss Daisy. This is little Miss Daisy, and as you can see, she's just a tiny squish. She's
so tiny.
she's just a month old now, teeny tiny squishy. So I will give her back to her father, but you can say hi, and hopefully she'll join us again. Yeah, are we happy or no? Oh, we still look a little grumpy though. She takes after us with our grumpy faces. Thank you, sweetheart. But yeah, that's my baby, guys. I have one now. Who knew, right?
Of
She's
all
squishy.
things.
She's adorable. I love her.
Of all things.
Anyway, yeah, I do. I hope that she has a Manchester accent. I don't think it'll happen, but a girl can dream. But
And
Logan, come here. Come here. If you're gonna bark like nuts, you're so funny. Honestly, this is what it's been like: is that you get dogs barking, you get babies crying. It's a party around here.
and how interesting, Logan, can it?
Leonard, are you Grandpa, Poppy, Gramps? He's just Grandpa. My parents are Grandma and Grandpa.
We have waited.
Logan.
We can't have this, Logan.
Logan.
We waited so long for this to happen.
Yeah.
And hoped and dreamed. Come here. Come here.
If you want attention, I'm happy to give it to you. Come here, you silly boy. All right. And this one's Logan. Not a baby, just a dog. Yes, we wait. My parents, we've all waited. It's a dream come true to have this little girl in our house. And so my parents are very happily grandma and grandpa.
Yeah.
My husband's parents, my mother-in-law says, if you call her grandma, she'll punch you. So Logan.
So we won't do that.
So she's Nana. My husband's mother is Nana. And I think that and my father-in-law will be something along those. I don't know if he's going to be grandpa or whatever it is, but we'll see.
Well, the same month that Jessie produced.
Yeah, made a baby. My dad made a book. And that is this book that folks are talking about. And what will Daisy's first movie be? When she's aware, she's already watched a bunch of stuff with us. I say watched as if a 1-month-old can watch a movie. She has laid there while we watched movies. But I don't know what her first official will be.
Don't know.
We'll probably start her with shorts, as I did. Clock Cleaners is my favorite Disney, and because I mean it's the best. So we'll probably start her there, and my dad will put that on the projector because we'll show her the projector because she must learn young. Yeah, something like that, I think.
Anyway, so the two things that have been keeping us busy simultaneously,
yes,
are delivering the baby, and then tending to the baby, and then tending to this baby.
And then tending to the book.
Because nowadays you don't just release a book and let other people, let alleged other people, do your work for you. You got to get out there and sell it. You got to get out there and figure out new and different ways to sell it. And I practically fainted when a student of mine at USC 2 weeks ago said she purchased a copy at Barnes & Noble in Burbank.
At a bookstore.
At a bookstore.
Not just Larry Edmonds.
Yeah.
No, that was thrilling.
Yeah.
It really
That's
did
the
make
word
us happy.
For it. Thrilling.
These are not meant to. This is to the. We've gotten so many gifts for the baby, and
people have been very
these
kind.
are not meant to be in the background. Though I will tell you that my favorite thing about them is it says, "I am fabulous orange," not a fabulous orange. I am fabulous orange, and this one is "I am fabulous apple." These are what our kids are learning about. Several people are commenting on Clayton Moore here in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Again, things to teach your children. Teach them young. Make sure they know who Clayton Moore is.
I remember on a Saturday morning when you came into our bedroom,
mm-hmm.
and this is going to be, if not hard, impossible to believe. But until you were 2.5, you showed no interest in television. I mean, none.
As a child, I feel like that's fair.
But at that time, people were starting to develop videos for preschoolers, and different ways to have you relate to shapes and
mm-hmm.
moving objects and things. Not you. And we thought, gee, well, she's made up for it since.
I've definitely made up for it since.
But one Saturday morning, when they were still running The Lone Ranger on Saturday morning on local LA TV, you came in and I turned it on. We were sitting together in front of the TV set. And I said, see this man? And I narrated the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
See this guy right here? He's the good guy. That's the Lone Ranger. We like him. He's the good guy. Oh, here's his friend Tonto.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this man. Oh, he looks like a bad guy. And that's how we went through a half hour together.
I remember it. I don't remember it at all, but I'm sure. The Barnes & Noble in Studio City is my go-to. Yes. Oh, man. Do you mean Bookstar? The Bookstore there? We love that. And, of course, we love the marquee.
Right.
And they still have the
They retained it was a movie theater. It was the Studio City Theater.
Yeah.
And they've retained both the exterior of the theater and its beautiful ticket kiosk in front.
If you happen to be in the Valley and you happen to be in Studio City, it's a great little bookstore. Yeah, we love it. It's, again, when it comes to books and kids, I can tell you that probably the best thing my parents did was take me to bookstores and make books sort of like a prize. So, it would be, Jesse, we're going to go to the bookstore and you can pick one book. And we'd walk through and we'd look at everything. And it probably, I always got Berenstain Bears or something like that. But it was a ritual. And Bookstar became one of the places we went to pretty frequently. There used to be another bookstore another bookstore, sorry, right underneath. I don't know if you remember the Daily Grill that's back, that went away. There was it called Royal Books?
Crown Books.
Crown Books. There you go. There was a Crown Books there. And so we'd have dinner, go downstairs to Crown Books, and we'd walk through.
Yeah.
And my parents would say, you can pick a book. And I just can't recommend that enough, because it's one of those things that I loved and really looked forward to. And it made books that much more fun.
Mm-hmm. And in Bookstore, they had a little, like a play area where you could sit and
at
stay.
Crown Books they did.
Really?
Yeah, Bookstore doesn't.
Okay.
But Crown Books did. But Bookstore is just vast.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful to walk around. It's so much fun. But yeah, there's never a bad time for books. Yeah, baby reveal. Yes. I can't stand. Yes, I know babies can be noisy, but you know what? You just learn to love them anyway. And I have to say, it's a very funny thing to hear your child's voice for the first time. It's a bit overwhelming, but pretty damn cool. I'm trying to think of what you got. You and Mommy have been catching up on actual books, on actual movies, rather.
Yeah.
And books too. You've been reading.
I just want to give a shout out and a plug to our friends at the Coronado Island Film Festival.
Yes.
Where Alice and I were 2 weekends ago, 3 weekends ago.
Don't ask me hard questions right now.
Weekend after Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And we had a very good time. We get to stay at the beautiful and historic Hotel del Coronado, where Billy Wilder shot Some Like It Hot, and Richard Rush shot The Stuntman, and
yeah,
and where history lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a cool place to be.
It's a cool place to be.
Someone's saying that they want a Lone Ranger commentary from you, just like that. Well, that's the thing. You should the way that my dad talks to kids, but especially obviously with babies, and now our baby, is he tends to just describe things. So it's the sort of, if you walk in on my dad, he's sitting, he goes, "This is a lampshade. Lampshades are what help make light not so bright." And you're listening, and that's what he's talking about. So I assume that this is the kind of thing that if we did let you on a video commentary, he would do something like, "This is a bad guy. We don't like the bad guys. We don't want the bad guys to win." Yeah, maybe that, maybe that'll be your next foray, something for children. So the adults can watch something, and you will be explaining in the background.
Now, I recently completed, you've been asking me to do this for a while, my first audiobook recording of this book, Starstruck, which is my story.
Yes.
So it's told in the first person. So it's very well suited to a recording. I had no inkling it would be difficult to do.
Very difficult.
Now, if we had unlimited time at a recording studio and an engineer, it would have solved a lot of the problems. Yeah. But
we keep saying if it was real life, which is how how all things sort of are at the moment, which is, oh, well, if it was real life, then blank. And since it's kind of not real life still, with our friend the pandemic here, it changes things. So yeah, my dad, we took the guest room and put, padding on the walls. So also, if any of us lose our mind, that's a nice backup as well. But you went in and you kind of just have to figure things out yourself. Well, and so I listened to it, and then we go back and we say, no, okay.
With a critical ear, and Alice did too.
You need to slow down. You're going too fast here. Things like that. And the other part, of course, you realized is that when reading the book that you wrote, not everything is easy to speak. Some when you write to read something, when you write copy to be read,
right,
when you were going to do voiceovers,
yeah.
It's one thing, but occasionally you found yourself going, "Oh my God, I gave myself a doozy in this sentence. This is really long," things like that. But yeah, we finished it. It was a journey, but it's done. Man, oh man. Have you watched Tick, Tick, Boom? I watched it the other night, and then the next day I heard that Stephen Sondheim had died. Yeah, the timing of that is pretty wild.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to. you showed it in class.
Yes, that's the other thing that I've been doing since we last spoke, or we last convened here, is I've been continuing my weekly class at USC, downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And we've had some really interesting guests and some good films too. And we showed Tick, Tick, Boom, and our guest was Alice Brooks, the cinematographer of the film, who is a proud USC grad.
Mm-hmm.
And she shot In the Heights for director John M. Chu. She had shot his student thesis film when they were both graduating.
You'll hear this over and over again.
School.
People who met in college and worked together in the arts, it would seem, just stay together.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people who said, "Oh, this was my DP when I was in college. This was our, so and so when I was in college." They stay friends, and they continue to work together.
Yeah,
which is really neat.
And she said, because one of my female students asked her if she perceives a change in equality, parity.
Mm-hmm.
Parity maybe is a good word, and representation of women, because every statistical survey turns out unhappily to show that not much has moved along. They haven't moved the needle that much. She feels differently.
Mm.
She said when she went on a scouting expedition 20 years ago, and they get into a truck and go and look at locations, she was the only woman on the truck. And for In the Heights, John and Chu was the only man.
Yeah.
And that it really is changing.
And that's the thing about numbers is, numbers are not always the truth. And really what you want is to talk to the people who are living it. Yeah. Because they're the ones who can give you a better idea of what's going on.
And she said something really nice. It's nice to hear. One of the things about Tick, Tick, Boom that is striking, whether you love the film or not, I'm sort of mixed on that movie, but not about Andrew Garfield.
No, everyone can agree on that.
He is spectacularly good.
Yeah.
And apparently he's never sung before.
Yeah. He did an interview with Lin-Manuel Miranda where he said that, do you know how they got a hold of each other?
No.
They share the same massage therapist. I just watched this interview yesterday. They have the same massage therapist, and that's how Lin got a hold of Andrew. And Andrew said, Lin was wondering if I could sing, but I already knew that I couldn't. And it's, but he's such a talented, he can do everything. That's the thing. He can dance, he can do all sorts.
And apparently he learned to play the piano. I don't know that he,
No, not
play,
He learned to play enough.
But
again, he's one of those people that kind of just, if you tell him to learn something, he goes, okay. And then he does.
So one of my students asked about working with Andrew Garfield. What was he like? And she said, he's the most considerate actor she's ever worked with. That when they would call cut and wrap a scene, he'd walk over to her, just by her, and say, "Did you get everything you needed?" And I said, "And that's not typical." She said, "No, a lot of actors treat you like you're in their way, like you're intruding on their territory." So that was a great night. She was very, very open, very candid.
Yeah.
And we showed The Eternals, and we had Chloe Zhao.
Yep.
One of the hottest, I guess that's the only way to put it.
Yeah.
One of the hottest filmmakers on the planet right now.
Yeah.
And
I just want to. Someone's saying there's been a ton of American movie musicals this year. Which one is the best so far? The truth is, not a lot of them. I mean, because the big one, of course, is West Side Story. You're seeing that tomorrow
night,
and that's the first big screening.
Yeah,
that's the first big screening that they're doing. To explain what happens here in LA, and the same in New York and probably in Chicago, is with certain films they will hold screenings, and sort of there will be a night. Some movies, there are tons of screenings. Some movies, it's as many as you can possibly think of. Others, though, they'll hold. And so everyone sees it essentially at the same time. And that way there can be no spoilers, because even though there are embargoes, an embargo is something that they'll set basically saying you can't talk about this film until such and such date. Even with that, things still get out. So with something like West Side Story, which is so highly anticipated, they've held it. And so we'll see tomorrow what you guys make of it, which will be interesting. But you were saying
it was endorsed heartily by Stephen Sondheim.
Yeah. So fingers crossed.
By the late Stephen Sondheim, who just passed away days ago at the age of 91.
Yeah.
And he had nothing but praise for Mr. Spielberg and for Tony Kushner, the great Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright, Tony Award-winning playwright, who adapted the screenplay and brought new story ingredients to the piece. So that makes me extremely curious.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, you had Chloe Zhao, and the reason you may know that name now is that she directed Nomadland, which is the film that won. It didn't win Did it win Best Picture last year?
I think so.
Frances McDormand won for Best Actress, and she got a lot of attention. But this is something completely different. She's only directed three
other movies.
Okay.
A very small one that I've not seen called Songs My Brother Taught Me.
Right. Then The Rider. Which I liked very much. And then Nomadland. Which are all very small.
Yes. And with mostly non-professional actors.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you go, and here's a Marvel film.
With 11 leads. 11 leading roles.
Yeah. Which is wild. And you've got people like Angelina Jolie. And I only mention that because, again, to go from working in a certain way to then having to deal with the craziness of working with A-listers, which means that you're going to have paparazzi on locations, which means that you're going to have security. Even just making a Marvel film in general, your security is going to be up here.
Right.
Night and day difference.
And you're dealing with actors' egos.
Yeah.
It's not to say anything evil about that. I mean, but everybody has an ego.
Yeah.
And one of the things Chloe said during our Q&A was that she feels she ought to take an acting class.
Yeah, which is really
to get
really
to understand the process better. And I've had many other filmmakers come to that same conclusion, and I think they benefit from it. I know they benefit from it because they can communicate better with their cast members.
Eric says Spielberg and company don't want anyone spoiling the ending of West Side Story. That's absolutely it. That must be what it is. No, as I say, with some really big films, and certainly with some really big films that come out closer to Christmas, they'll try to hold. The only reason they screen them is for award purposes. Now that too has all been pushed because the Oscars are now happening March 28th, I think. And
which is 4 months from now.
We are.
So we have all of December, January, February, and much of March.
Yeah.
Before the award that really counts. The awards that really count.
It's going to be so annoying by that time.
Yeah.
So annoying. Doesn't Marvel does that on purpose, choosing small directors who they can control? No, honestly, the thing about Kevin Feige,
another proud USC cinema
another proud USC grad. He is a movie lover. He loves film, and he's also someone who takes chances. Because imagine you have these huge movies, and he's chosen to go with people that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Taika Waititi, prior to doing something like Thor, has only made offbeat, interesting movies.
Kenneth Branagh. Another unusual
You
choice.
wouldn't immediately think of Marvel for him. But what choosing these people has sort of done is it makes the movies really interesting. It adds, frankly, a layer of art,
and different points of view.
Yeah.
And a fresh point of view.
Yeah.
Not from the inside of Marvel land.
Yeah.
But outside.
Yeah. And that allows, in the same way that they've had writers work on the movies that are not as well known, there are a lot of people behind the scenes who work on these films that don't have massive blockbuster credits. And I think it's really smart. You're saying I don't find any of those films interesting. No, my mom doesn't. My mom is not a Marvel fan. She doesn't like those superhero movies.
Although when I showed Shang-Chi,
she liked that
a class earlier this semester, she came and she quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, again, it can always be different. And there's another example of choosing a property that is not as well known, and putting it out there, and then having a lot of people just be thrilled about the representation. Having those kinds of superheroes out there. But yeah, I think that Kevin is just a very smart man. And he knows that by bringing in these different people who have an artistic eye that maybe someone else wouldn't, it does create something different. And it does open you up to new ideas and new actors. Because there's another situation where you have a lot of actors cast that people don't know. You could very easily choose your A-list and say, well, people are going to come because so-and-so is in it. But if you think about a lot of the people they cast, even someone like, here's Mark Ruffalo, Mr. Indie movie, and then he becomes the Hulk.
Or Tony Leung, the Hong Kong star.
Yeah.
The greatly admired star of so many Asian films, including ones by Wong Kar-wai. Playing a supporting role, an important supporting role in Shang-Chi, and just lending his presence to the film as well as his nuanced acting.
Yeah,
it just wider net. It casts a wider net.
Yeah. So that's sort of my feeling, is that I think that they're very smart to bring people in who have something different to offer.
And the directors, like Destin.
Yes.
Destin.
I'll get it wrong.
Yeah, I got it wrong too. Cretin.
Yes.
Yeah, Destin, middle name is Dustin?
No. Hold, please.
It's embarrassing. He came to our screening as well, the director of Shang-Chi. And
let's get it right. Destin Daniel Cretton.
Destin Daniel Cretton. That's not so hard.
No.
He talked about how surprised he was that they not only wanted his participation in the visual effects development and execution, but they welcomed it.
Yeah.
And he was surprised. He thought, well, they take care of that stuff. No, we want you to direct those scenes.
Yeah.
We want you to direct our visual effects team. And that's really interesting. So if you have all different kinds of people approaching fight scenes and, action scenes, no two are going to be alike.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I love that it's something different. Yes, Nick saying Elizabeth Olsen is the Scarlet Witch. That's what I mean. There's a lot of casting choices being made that are not just sort of the big ones. Have you ever interviewed Danny DeVito? He was doing everything: acting, producing, directing. Why No Output recently? Well, I think he is always doing something.
I just saw his picture in People magazine.
Yeah, he's always doing something. He works. There's so many. Frankly, there's so many platforms now that it would be. You don't know what someone's doing because they could be streaming on this, that, the other thing. But he still works all the time.
Several years ago, pre-pandemic, he started with the late Richard.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Getting to that point.
Help me help you.
Heavyset British actor.
I want to help you. I really do.
Look up Odd Couple Devito.
Okay.
He did the odd. Neil Simons played the Odd Couple on stage in London, and then here in Los Angeles, opposite.
This person whose name you can't remember. Hold,
Yeah.
please. Sorry. The first thing that comes up when you type in Odd Couple Danny DeVito is starring Danny DeVito and Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that comes up.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Hold. Oh. Yes. Hang on. For crying out loud. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I can see him and I still can't remember. Oh, for crying out loud. He's in Harry Potter. Not that
Yeah,
helps.
duh.
Yeah.
He's in everything.
Richard Griffiths.
Richard Griffiths.
There you go.
Wonderful, wonderful actor who passed away shortly afterwards. But I heard Danny interviewed around that time. He was having a ball. He loved being on stage in a The Odd Couple is one of Neil Simon's foolproof stage plays. And I've seen a couple. I saw a couple in their original Broadway runs. By the time they're shown to the public, they've done previews and all that. They can't miss.
Yeah.
They can't miss. Every joke lands. And it's kind of exciting to be in a crowd having that reaction.
Careful, don't kick.
Yeah.
Careful, don't kick.
Careful, don't
Careful,
kick.
don't kick.
Oh, let me show one thing that came in this week. Very exciting. I just started dipping into it.
Your face is really going. Just fly.
The Criterion Collection has released a 3-disc Blu-ray set of Citizen Kane. And I have just started dipping into it.
That's heavy.
In more ways than one.
That's heavy. Yeah. Gee.
3 discs. This gets some sort of packaging prize.
Oh, look at that. Okay. This comes out apparently. Ta-da!
That's the booklet. Yeah, isn't that great?
Booklet, yes. Oh, and the back is cool.
Yeah, the insignia from the Rosebud Sled.
That's neat. Well done, them.
It is. I just watched the piece with Craig Barron and Ben Burt.
I am, have been, and will be only one thing, an American. Charles Foster Kane. Very cool. Very, very cool. And
if you're looking for a holiday gift, stocking stuffer. I don't know anyone who wouldn't want to have this, wouldn't want to own this, and wouldn't want to spend hours, as I'm going to.
Yeah.
With all the bonus features.
Yeah. Yes, to go back to Danny DeVito, I don't know that you've ever interviewed him, but we've spoken to him many times. And he's lovely.
I interviewed him for E.T. a couple times.
He's great.
Once for Hoffa.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Yeah.
We were supposed to interview him for the podcast,
Yep.
And then the pandemic happened.
Yep.
But I will still fight for that because I love him, and
Yes.
I would really, really love to have him on the show. So what about 1 second. Do you have an opinion on the evolution of film scores? Do you like the newer, more sound design approach or the more traditional type of film score? It just kind of depends, doesn't it?
I'm open to new ideas and to new approaches. I'm a traditionalist, yes. So I like the classic style film score, and young people who have adopted that approach. But whatever works.
And that's the thing, I like with most aspects of a film. If you're only noticing one thing, that tends to mean it's not working. And I say that in a sense of if all you can hear is the music, and that's not a positive, that's a problem, right? Whereas if everything just feels like it works together, you sort of see it as a whole. And that is the tricky part. So sometimes you're watching a movie and the score is perfect and it's beautiful and it gets to you. Other times it's like, what is that clunking noise? So
Look up Luca.
Sure. I will say, what was was it The Changeling? The Clint Eastwood film, The Changeling?
Yeah.
As I'm watching that movie, I'm going, this music is terrible. What is this? And I think the second credit that pops up is music by Clint Eastwood. And I went, ah, well then, that's awkward. But yeah, it's say if it works well, then it works well. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't.
Luca is one
Who
of
do
my
you want?
favorite films of this past year, and go to all cast and crew.
Who do you want?
Music, composer,
Dan Romer.
Dan Romer. Not a name that I'm tremendously familiar with, but now I'm curious to hear more. And because it's a beautiful looking film,
Mm-hmm.
and it also sounds great.
Oh, it's fantastic to look. I mean, really, it's fantastic to look at.
I haven't yet seen El Encanto,
Yeah,
the
soon,
new Disney
hopefully,
release. Yes, soon.
Will Ryan. Do you have any memories of Will Ryan? And Brian saying, "Who is Will Ryan?" Well,
Will Ryan was a sweetheart of a guy,
mm-hmm.
the kind of guy who made you feel better for being with him, for spending time in his presence. First, he was a very talented performer.
Mm-hmm.
He loved to sing and strum a ukulele, played other instruments too, I'm sure. And not only loved writing songs, which he did quite a lot, but composing songs in with an old-timey flavor, the kind that Cliff Edwards, ukulele Ike, might have sung in the 20s and 30s. And but he didn't live in the past. He was happy to.
Will did voice work.
Mm-hmm.
He played the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
He was sort of. There are a number of people who are well known, sort of in their fields. So Will's not a name that everybody's aware of, but it's the kind of thing where a lot of folks, especially say voice actors, but also just if you love cowboy music, if you enjoy sort of, I don't know, being transported, a lot of that was Will. And
in the days when they're still doing albums, concept albums,
yeah,
he wrote several for Disney, maybe more than several.
Yeah.
With the classic Disney characters. And
you're very welcome, Seth. But yes.
So I'm sad. We were really
he passed
sad.
away. To explain, he passed away last week.
He passed away last week, having had an illness that debilitated him and put him in the hospital. But he didn't want anybody to know he was sick. He didn't want anyone to know
he was sick. So most of us did not know he was sick until
and then it came as
last week.
A jolt.
But just before he died, some friends, mutual friends, reached out to say if there's anything that you want to send him to be read to him before he passed. But yeah, so Will passed away. And then today I woke up and found out that James Rocky, who was
spelled R-O-C-C-H-I.
Yes.
Yeah.
James Rocky, who was a film critic, he had stepped away from that.
Yeah.
But he was a film critic for a while and a really great writer. He passed away really suddenly, 54 years old, had a heart attack and died. So that was this morning's blow. Really talented guy, too smart. And that, I think the funniest thing that's how I will always think of him is that he loved using big words to the point where people had no idea what he was talking about. But he was, he was a character and very much larger than life. And so that's another shitty thing to wake up to. But yeah. So yeah, Will Ryan, wonderful man, beautiful man. You would never hear a negative word about the guy. Sad to lose him, but grateful to have known him.
One other film that I screened this semester is Dune.
Greg Airbar is saying he won Grammy Awards, was the voice of Willy the Giant and Pete for Disney for decades, wrote over 100 songs for Disney, created one of the first online cartoons, played a character on a radio show for 34 years, and worked for Hanna-Barbera, Ruby Spears, Warner Brothers, DIC, and most other majors. Yes, all of those things. Yeah, he was amazing. Anyway, go on.
And we're going to miss him.
Yeah.
Miss him already.
Really sweet man. One of the other films you showed in your class.
Dune. Now, I'm not a science fiction reader, so I never read Frank Herbert's book. But of course, I saw the earlier adaptation from the 80s, which I didn't care for nor did many other people. But I had no particular expectations on this. Nothing was riding on this for me.
Yeah.
And I showed it in class, and Eric Roth, who co-wrote the adaptation, and Mark Mangini, the Oscar-nominated sound designer, and his partner, whose name I just lost, Tom something. They were great guests. And I really liked the film. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised how involved, how engaged I got, because it's not a simple movie, not a simple story. But at every step, at every turn, I was with it.
Yeah.
And absorbed by it and wanting to know what was going to come next. And so I thought it was really well done. And Denis Villeneuve has already been signed to do the sequel.
Yeah.
So we'll see it again. Eric Roth was a wonderful guest. He's an Oscar-winning screenwriter with a list of credits that long.
Yeah.
And Mark Mangini is one of the top sound designers in Hollywood. One of my students said, "How would you describe what you do?" And maybe I was the one who asked him that. I said, "Well,"
David White is his partner.
Okay, no, not that partner.
No, different kind of partner.
Yeah. Everything you hear, he put there.
Yeah.
Everything you hear,
yeah,
other than the dialogue on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I mean, and so it's not just sound effects.
Yeah, it's everything.
It's everything.
Yeah. All right, let's try to go through some of your questions quickly.
No, 12 and Tuesday. There's the next three answers.
What is your fondest memory of going to a movie?
Ever?
All of them.
Oh, it covers too much ground.
Yes. Again,
when I was a kid, I just loved going to the movies.
Yeah.
I just loved going to the movies. Where I grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And we had a handful of theaters in the towns surrounding mine, Teaneck, New Jersey. And it was just fun to go to the movies.
And that's I think the thing that we all miss. Yes, movie theaters can be crazy, making people talking and phones and all the rest of it. But at the end of the day, there is nothing quite like being in a movie theater. Which I'll go. Can you talk about Licorice Pizza?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's still embargoed, so I don't know if he's allowed to answer yet. Oh, you want me to just see if it's
what's playing right now?
See.
Remind me what I can and can't talk about.
Sure. 1 second. 1 second. Let's see. Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog. Directed by.
Let's start. Okay, Julia, the documentary Julia.
Oh,
you enjoyed that.
Wonderful
very much.
Documentary about Julia Child.
Yeah.
And her life has been covered before in that lovely movie Julie and Julia.
Yeah, but this is different.
This is a documentary, and it's a very. I was going to say sweet, but it's sweet, but not adoring, not cloying.
Yeah. You can talk about Licorice Pizza because other people are talking about Licorice Pizza. Alice Maltin hated it. I haven't seen any movie that's in a theater, obviously, because I haven't left the house. You didn't mind Licorice Pizza.
No, I liked it.
Yeah? Okay.
I liked it. Paul Thomas Anderson grew up here in the San Fernando Valley, not far from where we're sitting right now.
Yes.
And he has set other movies here, like Magnolia in particular. And this is kind of a memory piece, set in 1973, and it stars Cooper Hoffman, Philip Seymour Hoffman's son,
in his first role.
Yep, a role that I think was pretty well tailored for him.
It was made for him. Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, he's very engaging. I don't know if he has the chops to sustain a long career,
or if he wants one.
But he sure comes over great.
Yeah.
In this, and It's a very loosey-goosey movie. Hard to diagram the plot because there's a series of vignettes with some very funny appearances by Bradley Cooper and Sean Penn and several other people. I liked it.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite Christmas cartoon?
There aren't that many.
I think that the Peanuts will always be for me Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Well, yes.
There's just never a bad time for Charlie Brown.
When I was a kid, I mean, if we're going to include television, I was a big fan of Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol. But then you can't spoil A Christmas Carol.
That's not true. I have seen some really terrible adaptations of that.
Well, the one Robert Zemeckis made with the motion capture, that's not very
mildly
good.
Terrifying.
But I love A Muppet Christmas Carol. I like Mickey's Christmas Carol with Mickey Mouse and company.
I like that you just clarified. Mickey, as in the mouse. To be very clear, Mickey is in the mouse. I really like Pluto's Christmas Tree. That's a good one. Yes, I'm with you.
And I like Peace on Earth.
Yeah.
The one that Harmon and Ising did.
Hello from Canada. What are your memories about working with Elwy Yost?
Elwy was a lovely guy. His son Graham is a successful writer-producer now. But Elwy was an institution on Canadian public television and did a show called Saturday Night at the Movies. And he would come here once a year with his camera crew and director and bank interviews with actors and directors and people like me that they would use throughout the season. And so he'd ask you questions about 12 different movies they were going to be playing. And it was always fun to talk to him. Great enthusiasm.
That's a nice memory.
Yeah,
very
it
nice.
is.
Have you ever watched Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? Of course.
Yeah.
We've seen both Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I don't think that you will find a better original.
No, it just works. And the man who made it was a documentary filmmaker named Mel Stewart. So it's not, it didn't come from Disney or an established family film production house. But the score, Leslie Bricusse and Anthony Newley's score is awfully good. And Gene Wilder.
Oh, please.
Is Gene Wilder.
It's Gene Wilder. What more do you want? In your latest book, you had a chapter on Jerry Lewis, who was one of my favorites too. He was a big influence on me. Question, do you know if a DVD copy of The Big Mouth even exists? I love that one so much with Charlie Callis and lots of great comic characters.
Not my favorite. Not one of my favorites particularly, but I don't know its status in terms of an official release. Sorry.
Yeah.
Can't fill in the blank for you there.
Do you have a favorite Paul Thomas Anderson film?
Ooh, I love Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
That's spectacular.
That's a wild one.
Yeah.
That's a wild one, big time. A number of people are asking what movies you want to show Daisy, which I love.
Well, it's in the hundreds, folks.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I think that, again, there's certain things I grew up with that I will very happily show her. My dad showed me a lot of serials, and I'm a big fan of that. I love Captain Marvel. I loved Buster Crabbe.
As
Flash Gordon. So definitely those things.
Here's an interesting situation, which we haven't faced yet. We will in a couple of years. There are things I showed you.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a whole other.
That even you wouldn't want to show Daisy because
possibly
they're politically incorrect.
Maybe. Yeah, it definitely, it's not until you revisit certain things that you go, oh, that's terrible. But at the same time, you don't know till you try. So we'll start. And thankfully, we'll start her young enough that hopefully she won't go, oh, that's really racist until later. We'll just hope that we can get through that and not have to immediately go, oh, we don't call them Chinamen anymore. That's not an okay thing to say. But there's so much stuff. Again, like you raised me on a lot of musicals.
Yep.
A lot of Doris Day. There was a lot of Doris Day in this house.
Well, it occurred to me one day, we had just shown Jesse Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. And
which, as many of you now know, is my favorite film.
we started by showing her the barn raising sequence. And she said, again, with a laser disc. State of the art then.
Yeah, laser disc.
Cutting edge. Zoop back to the beginning of the scene. She watched it over and over and over again.
And still do.
And finally one day, she let us continue the film. So she started getting an idea of who the characters were and what their relationship was. And then you saw from the beginning. And they were never the same again.
And I was never the same.
What are we going to show her next? And I thought, Calamity Jane, Howard Keel, same leading man who she already knows, and Doris Day as a tomboy. How can you lose? And that worked.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, Pajama Game, another Doris Day musical. And we did that for quite a while.
Eric is saying the first Batman serial is overstuffed with wartime racism. Yeah, as I say, there's a lot of stuff that you do look back and go, ay, ay, ay. But at the same time, you know, kids are not as aware of the stuff that we're aware of.
Yeah.
You know, so there are a lot of times when you can either cover something up or just turn it off and you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, someone else is talking about with Snow White that it's seven dwarfs put their dead friend in a glass coffin and a prince kisses her year-old corpse at the end of Snow White. Yeah. Again.
Without her permission.
Oh, please. That one is a whole other. I don't know if you've heard this.
Give me a break.
There's a whole thing about how Snow White didn't explicitly.
Snow White in a coma.
Did not give her consent to be kissed. If this is what you have time to spend, I worry for you. Anyway, there's so much stuff that I grew up with that I love and still love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she'll be the same. I'm sure my mother will be playing Gypsy in the car as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, make sure she knows her Ethel Merman as I did. But yeah, there's a lot, you know, again, there's a lot, there's so much, you know, the things that make you smile. And again, shorts and also just things like showing her films on a projector, because that is how I watched a lot of cartoons when I was a kid, you know, in my dad's collection. And that was also something really special, was pulling it out. You know, we have the stacks of film, you pull one out, you thread the projector up. It's a whole sort of
ritual.
A ritual. Yeah, ritual's the word. So, you know.
That's why I used it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I look forward to, and stuff that you showed me that I'm excited to show her, and stuff that I will not, like your love of organ music. That is not something I intend on passing down. But yeah, there's so much there, and it is really exciting to think about sharing stuff. You know, I think we all look forward to that. Mm-hmm. It's also been funny getting gifts from different friends because obviously they're biased. So Jerry Beck sent Tom and Jerry stuff. You know, a friend of ours who is a member of the Warner family sent her a little Tweety stuffed animal. You know, so it's definitely, people know where they're trying to head it off.
Hi, Duke. No, we haven't seen Get Back yet.
Hi, cousin Duke. No,
maybe tonight we'll start.
Scott and I watched the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye.
Oh, Hawkeye.
Yeah, no. My husband doesn't like the Beatles. I love him anyway, but he doesn't like the Beatles. Yeah, we watched the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye.
And
it's okay. It's not fantastic yet, but it's good. It's good. Jeremy Renner's so good. You know, I love watching him. So we'll see. I don't know if you guys watch that stuff. Any Mickey stuff? Yeah, no, as I say, Clock Cleaners. Clock Cleaners is my favorite of those cartoons. So I will absolutely show my child Clock Cleaners very happily when she starts to recognize it. Hopefully your daughter will love the Three Stooges. No, Eric. No, she will not. No, she will
and no
not.
objection from her grandma.
Yeah. No, Jerry hasn't actually. Ryan is saying wonderful that Jerry Beck met Daisy. He has not yet. No, again, because of COVID things, we don't do a whole lot yet. She's met a handful of our friends, but no, not Jerry. But Jerry and his wife sent over some very perfectly them gifts. But yeah. Yeah. Have you guys, who's seen Get Back so far? I know a number of people are watching it. We also started the Jeff Goldblum show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of it. He's such a character, man. Anyway, thank you guys as always for joining us. We really, really appreciate it.
Believe it or not, we've missed you.
Believe it. We're lying. No, we have. We've missed hanging out with you on Sundays. And now hopefully that I have a little bit more of a schedule with the child, we'll be able to continue.
And we have no travel plans.
Yeah, right. We ain't going nowhere.
We have less than no travel plans.
Yes. So we will see you right here next Sunday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Everyone, please stay safe and take care of yourselves.
And be kind.
Be kind. And happy first night of Hanukkah to all of those who celebrate. I got you nothing. I've gone nowhere. I've done nothing. But I'll give you a laurel and hearty handshake.
Yeah.
That's what you're getting for Hanukkah. Anyway, speak to you guys soon. Everybody take care.